Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Mi, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Roronoa Zoro is a great swordsman, and especially after Wano and us learning that he does indeed have Conqueror's Haki, this shows that he still has some great evolutionary capacity, which could be explored even more if he trained with an experienced swordsman. Somebody like Silver's Rayleigh. Training with Rayleigh would allow Zoro to develop new and more powerful techniques that would help him on his journey in his quest to defeat Mihawk and become the greatest swordsman in the world, as well as help Luffy become king of the pirates. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the possibility of Rayleigh training Zoro now that Rayleigh, along with Boa Hancock, are after the Straw Hats. And we're also going to talk about the possibility of Rayleigh giving the sword Ace that once belonged to Gol D. Roger to Zoro once he completes his training. Before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it keeps motivating us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, Rayleigh has shown that he has great admiration and affection for the Straw Hats, and consider them to be the next generation of pirates that'll be able to find the One Piece treasure. And after meeting them during the Human Auction House incident, Rayleigh has continually helped the Straw Hats on multiple occasions. First off, he coated the Thousand Sunny for free, and also defended the crew against Kizaru, who was almost able to defeat all of the Straw Hats, as well as nearly take Zoro's life. After the Straw Hats reunited after the time skip and the great battle that took place at Marineford, he also taught Nami the technical details of how to sail a coated ship underwater. When the Marines chased the crew, Rayleigh helped the Straw Hats escape the island, distracting most of the Marines so that the possibility of escaping was much greater. It was also Rayleigh who took Luffy under his wing and really taught him how to use Haki during the time skip and how to improve his brute strength. So Rayleigh has been quite a remarkable teacher for the Straw Hats, giving him the opportunity to teach the next generation how to fight. And this connection may go deeper with Zoro, who really does bear a great resemblance to Rayleigh. Both of them are the right-hand men to their captains, in addition to being the second strongest in the crew, using swords imbued with Haki during combat to defeat their enemies. And the great similarity between them may allow Rayleigh to train Zoro in the future and make him learn the new powerful techniques to enable him to take on any new enemy in the future. At the minimum, he would be able to help him perfect his Haki just like he did with Luffy during the time skip. And not only that, Rayleigh could end up passing on an amazing sword that once belonged to Roger, the sword known as Ace, one of the 12 supreme grade swords in the world of One Piece. As we know, after Roger was executed, his sword disappeared, and no one else has seemed to have the opportunity to get it. But Rayleigh, as his former right-hand man, might have been the person who was safeguarding his sword and had been the one to pass it on to a future generation, possibly even Roger's son if the opportunity arose. And this would be a weapon that would be extremely useful in Zoro's hands, as Ace is a cleaver classified as one of the 12 supreme grade swords, being one of the most durable and greatest cutting blades in the world of One Piece. In several different flashbacks, we've seen Roger use this sword, such as when they had that big battle 38 years ago during the God Valley incident. Roger used his Ace sword to be able to face off against the powerful Rocks pirates. 11 years later, he wielded the mighty Ace sword during the Battle of the Ed War, and a year later, Roger used Ace in a combat against his main rival Whitebeard in a final 4-day battle that both kind of agreed was testing their limits. Since that time, the sword has never been seen again, nor was it buried next to Roger's body, which could mean that it may be in the possession of one of Roger's most trusted pirates, possibly being Roger's former right-hand man. As it is one of the 12 supreme grade swords, Ace's blade quality ranks among the best, being one of the most powerful weapons ever created, rivaled possibly by only a very few other weapons, such as the Murakumuragiri that once belonged to Whitebeard, and the Yoru blade, which is currently in the possession of Dracula Mihawk. Despite this blade being used against extremely strong enemies capable of causing immense destruction, the sword was never shown to take any damage, which serves proof of its immense durability. Roger often imbued the sword with his armament Haki, as well as his Conqueror's Haki, and this allowed him to take on those powerful enemies. And it was only Ace and his Haki that Roger was able to become king of the pirates, defeating multiple other powerful pirates in his path and managing to obtain the greatest and most acclaimed treasure in the world, the One Piece. Using his Ace sword, Roger could use an incredible technique called the Kamusari, or Divine Departure, and Roger imbued Ace with his Conqueror's Haki and then swings his sword horizontally, creating a powerful attack capable of pushing even the mighty swordsman Odin along long distance. This could be an attack that other people who wielded the sword could use during battle, but in order for that to be possible, the user of that ace sword would have to have an incredible control of their haki, just like Roger, in addition to having an incredible mastery of swordsmanship. This is something that Zoro has demonstrated several times that he has, needing only to refine his haki to be able to make the sword skills become even more powerful, just like Roger. Zoro is, after all, an extremely skilled and talented swordsman, and showed an immense talent from a very early age. And throughout his journey as a pirate, Zoro has managed to improve his swordsmanship multiple times. Ever since Zoro lost to Mihawk, he has decided to become more powerful and has trained hard to perfect his skills and become the greatest swordsman in the world, and has even been trained by Mihawk himself. So Zoro has sword skills in absolute abundance, leaving only Zoro to improve his haki to get better with swords so that he can finally confront the greatest swordsman in the world to get his title. Now, in addition to being extremely skilled and a hard-working swordsman, Zoro also has a great ability to imitate sword movements with great ease, being kind of a copycat when he needs to be. Take for example where in the Wano arc, Zoro saw and had great interest in Kinemon's Foxfire style, a sword style capable of creating and even cutting flames with great ease with a sword. When Zoro first saw Kinemon use it against Smiley on Punk Hazard, Zoro found this sword style incredible, so he started to observe more closely the way Kinemon used it during battle. Later, during the battle against Kaido and Big Mom on Onigashima, it was revealed that Zoro was able to perfectly copy this technique and increased his repertoire of techniques to use it in a battle, and even more so in this conflict on Onigashima, where it would be necessary to improve his skills to achieve success and defeat the powerful pirates that were on Kaido's side. So now that Zoro possesses that Foxfire sword style, he's able to cut through flames as shown when he split Prometheus, a homie that is literally made of fire, and it looked like he was even able to injure him. What's more, even though this was the first time we saw Zoro using it, it seemed that he was able to be quite adaptable when using it, because he was able to cut right through Kaido's Boro Breath and even incorporated it further into his own sword style without having much difference between the way he uses it and the way Kinemon showed using it, using his own Foxfire sword style. By learning this style of fighting and integrating it into his three sword style, it was this that allowed Zoro to be able to cut King's strongest technique called the Omori Karyuda, which created a great dragon of flames that was cut by Zoro. And this truly was what allowed the swordsman to defeat King himself, this Lunarian who was able to control fire, bringing about his defeat. This more than anything demonstrates that Zoro would be able to copy the techniques that Roger used with his swords if he ever had the opportunity to train with Rayleigh, as well as earn the sword that Roger used. With Rayleigh's training, Zoro would become even more powerful and would finally be able to make that duel happen between him and Mihawk, a duel that the two of them have been waiting for quite a long time. Now, as far as we know, Roger's sword didn't have any apparent powers, but even so, what we've seen it do already proves it's an incredibly powerful sword, and in the hands of an experienced swordsman like Zoro, this sword could again be used to its fullest ability. So as you can see, Rayleigh would be an amazing tutor for Zoro, allowing to have a very effective training and strengthen his sword skills and addition to his haki. And this is something that Zoro still certainly needs, because he's been still having some difficulty about correctly using his haki in battle. But through this training, Zoro would be able to reach, if not surpass, Rayleigh's level during his prime, making Zoro closer and closer to achieving his goal of becoming the greatest swordsman in the world. So with the meeting of Rayleigh and Zoro, the opportunity might just arise where they'll be able to train so that Zoro can become more powerful and even obtain that great technique that will bring him that title of greatest swordsman in the world. So with all that said, my friends, we'd now love to know what you think about it. Because Rayleigh and Hancock are on their way to try and find Luffy, do you think this might actually happen, that Zoro will have the opportunity to train with Rayleigh? And also, what do you think about our idea that Rayleigh indeed has Ace? Could it even in fact be the sword that Rayleigh's been shown to have at his side, just sitting there being the custodian of a sword, so great, but waiting for the right opportunity to pass it on to the next hand that will wield it and bring it into the future? Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching the video, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.